What's up, guys? Billy from Wind Toys, and I want to show you my preferred way to mount Garmin LiveScope nowadays on any kayak, really, but today we're putting it on a Pro Angler 14 360. So let's have a look how I rigged it up. All right, so this has been my preferred method for mounting the Garmin black box computer system for your live forward-facing sonar. I like to use these Boondocks firewalls. It's perfect set up for these black boxes here. Mount it so that your cords are all coming up on top here, and you can tuck them back over the top of that firewall there. It's already got the hole pattern drilled into it. It mounts straight to the post on any Hobie kayak here. Makes the setup really clean. And then normally we would put a battery on this battery tray there. It actually comes with a strap that goes in those two slots there, and it'll hold a pretty big battery right there. But you gotta watch your weight distribution on any kayak, but especially if we're mounting, heavy stuff like all this electronics. This gentleman, for instance, has a bow-mounted motor guide motor. And what I've noticed is if we put the battery up in the front, plus the black box up in the front, plus we put a console, which we'll talk about in a minute, with his head unit up in the front, there's a lot of weight up forward. And if you're not distributing that weight well, just the boat doesn't ride very good through the water. You're also going to get more water inside your boat if that water line isn't level like it was designed to be from the factory. So what I do is we put a 54 amp hour. This gentleman's using a Dakota lithium battery underneath the seat here. It's a great spot for the battery because it's the ideal spot for the weight. This battery is really low in the center of the boat. These lithium batteries are fairly light when it comes to batteries, but it's still adding weight to the boat, and that's exactly where you would want the weight. Nice and low underneath the seat, and so he's not gonna be too bow heavy on this boat. And then for the head unit, I like to install these Boondocks consoles. Go across the front here. I've also just used the Hobie A-Trail, but I think this Boondocks console is by far my favorite console to put across the front. I think it's the cleanest looking console. It's also super sturdy. Like, it's not going anywhere once it's installed, and it's easy to install in the track on a Pro Angler like this. I've also installed some on Outbacks and other boats. But the nice thing about putting a console in the front is that you can put your head unit just directly in front of you. And the cool thing about that is when you're using this forward-facing sonar, if you have that transducer pointed straight, you can be looking at a fish on the screen here, which is going to be out in front of you, and you can cast at that fish while still, having your cast in your peripheral vision. So, I just think it makes it easier for my customers to line up that cast with the fish. And then I'm just using a Yak Attack base here, and all I do normally is take out the extension arm. You can do it with the extension arm, but what you're gonna get with that extension arm is just more wobble. But if you are standing a lot, guys do like to get it up higher. So it of course comes with the extension arm, and you can choose whether to use it or not to use it. And I've got all of the wires coming out of this right through hole here, and I just kind of tuck them up and tidy them up along there, and then run it behind that, and it comes into the back. Everything clears pretty easily here, so he's able to close the hatch still, and everything's out of the way. You can even tuck these back around something there if you want. And then he doesn't have his transducer arm yet, but he's gonna go, I believe, with the Railblazer transducer arm and install that on the right-hand side there. That Railblazer live arm. They make a shorter version for kayaks and a longer version for boats. It flips up out of the way, easy, and it's pretty easy to install on any rail system like these Pro Anglers have. It's definitely been the most popular in my store as of lately here. But there's a lot of different arms out on the market, so you should definitely do your research. I've used a ton of them. You can see this boat here has one of the kind of original arms. I can't even remember the name of this one here, but this is the one we used for years on there. Thanks for watching, guys. If we were going to take anything away from this build, I would just be about where we put that battery and our weight distribution. Honestly, installing LiveScope nowadays is pretty easy, especially if you have one of these Boondocks firewalls. It's a perfect spot to mount the black box. The wiring's really simple nowadays. The instructions are really clear compared to when they first came out. And so it is pretty easy to do, but do watch your weight on any kayak, but especially pro anglers here. You know, you really don't want too much weight in the bow. And I notice, especially on the Pro Angler 12, this is a 14 here, but Pro Angler 12, we put all that weight in the front, too nose heavy, you get a lot of water in the boat, and the performance of the boat is not very good. So especially with these bow mount motors, it's actually why I'm a little bit more of a fan of a stern mounted motor, because I think it better distributes the weight. But be creative with where you're going to put your battery. Batteries, even these lithium ones, are fairly heavy. Putting them underneath the seat like that definitely helps. You know, putting batteries in the back, if you have a bow mount motor, definitely helps. And same thing, if you have a stern mount, you want to make sure, you know, we have some weight up in the front. But definitely want to make sure that boat's riding through the water as level as possible and how it was designed from the factory to ride. So thanks for watching, guys. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. I've done a bunch of different LiveScope installs, every different boat, and we can do it for you. So have a good one. Thanks for watching.